Hi, I'm Patricia Greenberg, and this is It's Okay to Be Old, a show about all things aging well. Well, I love to feature people who are doing extraordinary things at a time in our lives where we once believed life was over and it was downhill all the way. My guest today is Margery Thomas Mueller, and after a successful 40-year career as an interior designer in New York City, Margery made the bold decision in 2012 to pursue art full time. Since then, she's achieved extraordinary recognition in the contemporary art world. Welcome, Margery.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
I'm so delighted to have you here. Your work is beautiful, and I so
Thank
want
you.
to hear. We're going to feature some of it, but I so want to hear your journey that brought you to today.
Well, this is, I finally am in my life that I feel like I'm doing what I wanted to do and meant to do since I'm probably five.
No.
Um, I started out as a young artist and studied art in high school and went to the Art Students League and then studied at Carnegie Mellon. And then I did art for a while. Make a long story short, I had some marriage issues and wound up with three daughters, single, divorced, and had to make a living. And I became an interior designer for 40 years. And that's at night, I kept working till maybe 2, 3 in the morning every night. Not every night, but often to keep it going, but it was never consistent. And I think what I've learned, and I think every artist who does work will tell you, you have to do it every day
Yeah.
to make it work. Your brain has to change. And so 12 years, 16 years ago, I married my current husband and we moved to New Hampshire, and I got this amazing studio, and I've been working as much as I can every single day. And I feel like I'm maybe, I don't know, 51, 61 instead of 81.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a true gift of life.
Yeah, it's life
So,
changing to be doing what you love at any age. And and what age did you feel you really came into your own as an artist?
oh,
I mean,
well,
do you have a
I think
number? Yeah.
I think that in up here in my 70s,
Yeah.
I really think this when I mean, I've been doing it. I've recently actually been categorizing my work for another reason. And I'm looking at the process and how inconsistent it was and then became consistent and much bolder at this part of my life. So it's it's a gift. It's a gift. I really feel more than grateful. I feel like I'm alive in a very different way than I ever have been.
And I see the piece behind you is beautiful. Marjorie, did you take your artistic um desires, if you will, and talent toward your interior design, or was that just very rote?
Well, it's interesting. I'll give you a little bit of the story. The little bit of the story is I was married to a very interesting man when I was in my 20s who, unbeknownst to me, was gay.
Mm,
And he's an architect, brilliant architect, wonderful human being, and unfortunately had to wait much later in life to have the life he should have. And so I stayed up every night with him working on competitions, and he taught me how to be an interior designer.
oh,
And so then so I took interior design as a career to make a living. And I've tried to bring my art to it, but it's very different. It's a business.
yeah.
And so I never felt the growth of me as a person in it certainly as a businesswoman, yes, but not as an artist. And I had to separate the two and not try and be an artist as an interior designer. So I've been back and forth my whole life
Yeah.
until now. And now I feel like who I have wanted to tried to be since I used to lie under a pear tree in my backyard on Long Island and look up at the sky and wish I could do this. And now I'm doing it.
Really.
So
I
I'm
I'm so amazed and so proud of you and so honored to hear that, to have to be I too am very grateful to for both of us to be here to have this discussion. It's amazing. Marjorie, what is your approach to art? If there's even one answer for that. I know everybody has a little bit of a philosophy or an approach that they take to that. Yeah.
It's interesting you asked me that because I've been categorizing my work for a year for another purpose. And I've been looking at the process. And actually behind me, if you see that piece, I did that
Yes.
when I started that when I turned 80. It's 63 years of faces that I pulled them out of my old sketchbooks.
Oh,
And
wow.
I
Yeah.
did the big drawing and then I put the pieces behind it. So it's from 1962 to 2025.
Amazing. Amazing.
And it's, I did different subjects, always usually landscape, because I've always been interested in liminal space, the space in between, because I feel like we live like that a lot, as finding each one and how they connect. And
Tell us a little
um,
bit more about what liminal space is.
liminal spaces, interestingly, they use it in religion a lot, talk about the space between current time and religious or spiritual time, that in between when you're going from one to the other. And in the landscape, it's the in between space between I think, what you feel in your daily life and what you feel when you're calm. It's liminal, it's not set. And I felt actually landscape to me is the ground that I can hold on to. And so that becomes my liminal space, the place I can be solid when I can. So does that make sense to you? So
Absolutely.
my work, the last 12 years, which is interesting in terms of liminal space, the last 12 years, I found a paper called UPO paper, which is plastic. I had never worked on it. I didn't know anything about it. And you have to learn how to use medium on it because it has no tooth. It holds nothing. And I've tried medium after medium, and I've actually come back to watercolor on it and learned how to use it. And it's not permanent. So the message to me is also another theoretical or abstract thought that things are not permanent and you have to keep moving, and it moves on the paper in a different way than it does on other papers. You have to fix it to make it stay. So it's been a very interesting 12 years of experimenting and finally doing it consistently.
Is this based on self-study or did you go back to school? Did you take courses? What was your
Oh,
approach to getting that? Yeah.
I went to the Art Students League when I was in high school, and I went to Carnegie. I was a painting major. I was studied in Italy. And I kept working at night, and never had the time to do it every day. And when I moved up here, that's when all of this, it just all came together. I felt like I finally could. When I first started, I started cutting old pieces of my work apart and putting it back together again. And interestingly, I don't think it was really, I understood the metaphor, but it's really what happened. And
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
it's finally, there it is.
And
Comes.
that I think is like everything we do in life at any age is a culmination of our entire lifetime. And if it, I always feel I'm listening to you and looking at your work, and I always feel like I'm always telling people do that deep dive into your past, your childhood, your early years, your adulthood, and what good came from that? What can we glean from our entire lives and make something beautiful out of it at any age, right? I mean, this
But
is
I think I had breakfast with somebody this morning, and I always feel very lucky that I took chances.
Mhm.
That for whatever reason, I mean, it's just whatever gene is inside me. I come from a history of very strong women at one point. This is sort of an interesting story. My great grandmother, Bessie, came from Europe, had 6 children. I don't even know my great grandfather's name, but Bessie started 6 fabric stores on her own, so each child would have a business. And then my grandmother, Lizzie, wanted to marry Jack Gentry. And Bessie said, no, 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 you're marrying Morris Feinstein. She married Morris Feinstein, had 4 kids. Jack Gentry's wife died. She took 2 kids out to Reno, Nevada in 1912, or something, or in the 20s, I think. Came back and married Jack Gentry.
Wow.
Right. And then, so genetically, something's in me that
Yeah,
says go and do.
yeah.
Her daughters never became professional women, but it was the 50s, it was after World War II, all of that. But then I came along and my kids came along, and that gene seems to have held strong, which I feel incredibly grateful for.
That's
So it's
amazing. It's amazing. And that keeps you youthful at any age to have that, zest for life and that quest for wanting to do things. The other thing we're coming up against, Margery, in the world is that, this self-care, taking care of ourselves, looking out for ourselves, doing the things that we want to do was always considered selfish. Now we're learning it's not, it's self-preservation.
exactly. I mean, it's interesting. My husband, unfortunately, had three knee replacements within the last 3 years,
Oh
and
boy. Hmm.
he was a world-class athlete before. And make a long story short, he's 82. He'll be 83. And last January, I found in DC a trainer by happenstance, and
Hmm.
he's been training 3 days a week. Guess what? No cane, walking great, doing the things he wants, and his not just physicality, but his brain
Hmm.
is in a better place. So exactly self-care and taking, he wasn't, and now he is, and he's Bob's back.
That's fantastic. I almost don't even have to ask this question, but I'm going to. What inspires you and motivates you in your daily life to keep going? What's the day to day? You get up in the morning and everybody tells me whatever it is that if they love what they're doing, it doesn't feel like work, right? But is there any one thing or a set of things that inspire you when you get up?
You know what? When you asked that, the first thing that came to my mind, I feel so grateful.
Hmm.
I feel grateful that I have the physicality I have. I have three amazing children, daughters that I'm very close to and that they're very close. And I get so much gratitude about that. It almost feels like it's my responsibility to keep going as long as I can
Hmm.
to myself, to my heritage, to my kids. I mean, it just feels, I do, I have a group that I work with helps with poverty up here. And I feel grateful that I can be able to do that. Um, I think that's what it is. I feel like I owe it. I owe it back to keep going in many ways.
I know we're talking about your work and your life, and I'm beyond amazed and admire that you're working and creating beautiful, beautiful artwork. But on
Thank you.
a personal level, I would like to hear from you. What does it feel like to be 81 from a perspective of what you've seen in the history of the world in your lifetime? We hear a lot about people say, well, I'm 60, but I feel 40. I'm 80, but you feel like you've got your stride going here, and this is fantastic. But at 50 and 60, did you even have a vision of what 81 would be like? I'm sure it's
No,
really different than
really.
what you were taught it would be.
Well, it's interesting. Unfortunately, my mom passed away when I was 27, so I didn't have that to look for the future.
Mhm.
But and I've had several lives, three husbands, single for 19 years, all that stuff. But I've seen such a change. I mean, I look at my three daughters who are in their 40s and 50, and I see the ability that they still are, they still have issues that they have to deal with. But when I was in my 70s, I was the only female in a boardroom. When in the middle of the meeting, one of the men said to me, "Could you go get some coffee for us?" And I went, "There's a woman outside the door that can go get the coffee." I'm still listening to this, but I've seen that change and grow. And that to me has been positive, very positive. I'm also seeing the country in a different place than I ever thought it would be.
Right.
So life is, quite frankly, I've said often, I wish I was going to live another 50 years to see, to do what I'm doing, but also to see what we're going to look like 50 years from now, what this country will look like, what this earth will look like. So
And have you been to date able to travel to places that you would like to see? Has that been an aspiration and an inspiration for you?
totally, totally. That's an interesting thing that because my husband and I have taken a lot of small cruises around the world. We've been
Okay.
to Asia, to Europe, to various. And one of the places that I found so inspiring was South America, quite frankly, because of the geology down there. I just loved what the earth tells you that between the icebergs and the deserts and the mountains and the falls, Wazoo Falls. I mean, that. But right after COVID, we went down to Costa Rica, and I had been so, doing being sheltered and all of that. And I went into Costa Rica, and the vegetation. I came home and color just burst into my world. It was really interesting. I came out of COVID where I was doing a lot of black and white, and I was going down, seeing all the issues that were going on. And that Costa Rica I bloomed. It was really interesting. I couldn't stop when I came home doing color. So
It's a magnificent country, and
oh,
I find it's one of those everybody should go and just take their shoes off, barefoot, walk around. We did zip lining in the rainforest. We really really embrace Costa Rica. It's a magnificent country.
it is so, I mean, we don't need to go, you know what it is,
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
also, I don't know if you know, it's the most biodiverse country in the world.
I did know that. Yes, it's extraordinary there. And so, do you, I'm curious, do you take supplies with you and make art while you're traveling?
I take small paper and watercolor. I painted every day the last trip we were in Costa Rica, every single day. And I made small 7 by 7 paintings and drew every day. And I must have 3,000 photographs of every leaf down there. And I came home and had a small show and sold out. It was
Wow.
amazing. It was, I
Wow.
mean, granted, it was, easy sales because there was 7 inches and all that, but it was that place. I'd go back there in a minute.
So would you rank that as your favorite?
Well,
Do
I
you have
don't
a
know.
favorite? Hmm.
It's one of my very favorite places to be for many reasons. There's something about South America the geology there just knocked me at between Patagonia and the Amazon, and you feel the earth down there. You really feel it, and as you do in Costa Rica. But the power, uh, we're going to Japan in March.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I've always wanted to go to Japan. I mean, and we're going during cherry blossom field
Oh my
seasons.
goodness. Oh,
I've always loved the Japanese aesthetic. Um,
oh yeah. Hmm.
and when I was in Art Students League, I studied with a watercolor teacher named Mario Cooper, who taught me how to use the flat brush technique, which is a Japanese art form. And when I started doing watercolor here again, so from 13 to 80, my hand went right back to where it was, which is an interesting thing. I felt, wow, I haven't lost it all. So
It's amazing that you could pick it right back up. I think
yeah,
the body and the soul and our physical all have, we just have these memories. We have these body memories that come back. And
it's really fascinating.
yeah. So, Marge, I just wanted to ask you also, do you sell your work in galleries or online on your website where we could find it?
I do. I have a website, margerythomasmueller.com.
Okay.
And I've shown around the country. I was in the London Biennale a couple of years ago, and I do sell through my website and a gallery in Sandwich, New Hampshire,
Yeah.
which Patricia Greenberg Gallery in New
Okay.
Hampshire.
Okay.
And I'm always looking for other places to sell it. So
Are
yeah,
you
I,
inspired by the Northeast? Do you find that it also is it's a magnificent area of our country? I mean, the
it
fall is
is.
notorious for being beyond beautiful. Uh,
It's beyond beautiful. And we live right on Lake Winnipesaukee. And so it's not on. I drive home through the woods, and there are many days I just stop and I just sit there and I look at the light coming through the trees and I go, You are really blessed. I mean, to be able to live in this environment. And I think it's really affected me more than I even understand, because the physicality of living in nature like this, it does something to you. It's when we were commuting between New York and here before we moved up here full time, if I flew, it took me a couple of days to get used to out of the city and into the country. And when I would drive, it would be better because I would have time to calm down. But the variable of being in the city and the energy, which I do love, but this is, I don't know, it changes you. The physicality of it, I really do believe changes you. It's I'm very lucky.
That's what we're finding now too, the effect that the positive, magnificent, powerful effect that nature has on our bodies in terms of wellness and healing. And I mean, there's doctors now specializing in what they call nature medicine, is getting people out in nature and out of the concrete cities and putting their bodies in that environment for wellness. Yeah.
There's a whole experience in Japan. I know that you walk through certain forests and nature for physical wellness. Yeah. And it's a place you can meditate. That's very hard to do it with noise around you all the time.
And in Japan, if you follow some of these blue zones throughout the world where people live longer and live healthier, Japan ranks very, very high in the world for that. So, as crazy as Tokyo is, and I've been to Japan, and it is there's aspects of it that are fast paced and crazy, but their philosophy on life is to be learned from. That's absolutely for sure. Margery, this has been a fabulous conversation. In closing, well, before we close, do you have any shows coming up or anything you want to announce before we go?
I actually I'm going to have an online show with Matt Kennedy in March. Should be online. His gallery is online and it'll be announced somehow. I'm not sure exactly how he does that.
Okay.
Um, and I probably will be in a show in Boston, an auction in Boston in April.
Okay,
So
we'll put your links up on the show and so people can find you and find the shows as well.
great.
Three, last but not least, I always like to ask, what do you like about getting older?
Oh man, I feel like I'm living my best life. I mean, I don't want to give it a kind of hurrah,
Yes, uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
but I feel like I finally got here. I finally got to do what I really have wanted to do since I'm 5. And
Mhm.
so I'm just hoping that this continues. And my doctor told me in June that she said, "You're really not 81, you're 61."
Ah,
I'm going to go with that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Chronological versus biological, very, very
Right,
important. Yes. And
right.
I appreciate that even the doctor pointed that out. That's fantastic.
She's
Yes.
much younger than me, though.
So thank you, Margery. And for more information about Margery Thomas Mueller's work, you can check out her website at Margery Thomas Mueller, Margery, Thomas, Thomas, Mueller, Mueller.com. And again, Margery, I want to thank you so much for being here. It's been a wonderful conversation. I look forward to seeing your work in person. We're going to try to make that happen.
Would love that. That would be great. It's great being with you too.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
I want to get up into that nature, so I'm going to come visit. Yeah, for sure.
we have several bedrooms. You're
Okay.
always welcome.
Okay, I'm going to take you up on it. Thank you again so, so much. And I want to thank all of you for listening to It's Okay to Be Old. And please subscribe to my channel for engaging discussions on all things aging well. For feedback and topic requests, you can contact me at www.patriciagreenberg.com. Stay well and stay safe.